Hi, I'm Jessica Salaji, publisher of thegeorgiavirtue.com. We're so excited to offer a compilation of videos this election season. The TGV Candidate Spotlight Series is an independent video feature produced with one goal in mind: providing voters with as much information as possible before they head to the polls. There's no agenda, we don't make endorsements, and we aren't beholden to any giant media corporation. The series is produced thanks to our advertisers and the generous donations made to the TGV Sunlight Fund and communities we cover. We extended an offer to all of the candidates seeking office this year, and to ensure the integrity of the questions and in fairness to all the opponents, every interview was recorded prior to the release of the videos in that race. For that reason, candidates who did not agree to an interview prior to the air date for their race will not be featured in this series. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, you can find more content on this election cycle and much, much more on thegeorgiavirtue.com.
There's never been a better time to upgrade at Franklin Toyota. Hurry in and save big on our entire inventory of your favorite new Toyotas. All marked with the honest, transparent, and upfront pricing you've come to expect from Franklin. The price you see is the price you pay. No gimmicks and no games. Get it fast, get it fair, get it forever. That's the Franklin guarantee, because at Franklin, we're here for you. Visit us on Commerce Drive in Statesboro or shop our complete inventory online at franklintoyota.com.
Today we are chatting with Mary Boyer. She is a candidate for District 6 for the Bulloch County Board of Education. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start off with you just telling us a little bit about you, your background, what you know of education. Just tell us about you.
So I'm Mary. I'm actually from Goodyear, Arizona. I graduated in 1996 from Alfredo Union High School, and I went to Arizona State University, and I finished there in 2000 with a BA in history and a BA in anthropology. And then after that, my husband and I moved to the University of Maryland, and he got his PhD. We got married. We've lived in Chicago. We've lived in Bloomington. We have 3 children. Jolie, who's a junior at Statesboro High. Grant, who is a 7th grader at Statesboro STEAM Academy, which is the charter school here in town. And Logan, who's in 4th grade at Sally Zetterau Elementary. I am on the PTO at Sally Z. I've either been the president, vice president, secretary, or just a member. I am a Girl Scout troop leader. I have 14 high schoolers in my troop. I am also the service unit manager for the Girl Scouts, which is Bulloch County, Candler County, Evans County, Emmanuel County, and a little bit of Screven County. So I manage all the troop leaders there. I am the Cub Scout popcorn kernel. That's what they call it. That's what they call it, for my son's pack. And I'm trying to think what else I do. I do a lot of other stuff, but so those are main things. Oh, I do the concessions for Statesboro High's soccer team. My daughter's in band, so I work the concessions at Statesboro High football games. And starting next year, I will be the booster president for Statesboro High's cross country team. So I got my hand in a lot of little local organizational stuff. And then I teach at First Baptist Church Weekday Preschool. Currently, I'm in the pre-K class. I've been there for about 7 years. I've taught the 2-year-olds. And so education-wise, I do not have an education degree, but I have a lot of kids who are in education, and I'm very passionate about my own children's education along with the other students here. And just between all the organizations I've been in, I deal with a lot of parents and a lot of students.
Well, it's an interesting time to be joining the political arena, no matter what stage or level of government. So why now, and why the Board of Education? Why are you running?
So I had been asked to run for the Board of Education a few times. Every time it wasn't right. You know, my kids were little or I didn't know enough. And right now, we've had some things, a lot of parents, including myself, where, you know, we're coming out of this COVID and we have kids who are behind, we have kids who are ahead, you know, kids who are fighting, discipline issues, just all sorts of stuff that's going on. And when you call the schools to get an answer, you know, it's not a great answer. And then, you know, you get referred to, well, if you don't like it, call district. And if you call district, you get a different answer. And it's just back and forth, and it's not just me, it's other parents. And so a couple of parents are like, I think it's time. I think it's time we have somebody who's like, you know, even if we don't get the answers we want, somebody who's going to actually ask some questions of our school leaders, our parents, our organizations that we're running throughout our school, and try to get us to all work together again.
The district's recently changed a little bit, and I think that's confusing for some people, but how would you best kind of just summarize your district for 6 now?
So my district, it is kind of an odd district. Predominantly, it's going to be on Fair Road. by the hospital. So that neighborhood above there, that's where I am. Up to about Pittman Park, just a little bit in there, and up towards like North Side. You're also going to go out 67 to Josh Deal, and everything west like that on Josh Deal is mine. And then if you go up Burkhalter, a little bit up in there, we're in there. We're just kind of a really weird shaped amoeba that is. And then I do know, like, I lost a few on the other side of Josh Deal, but that's just how we got redistricted.
You touched on it a little bit about asking questions, but how do you view the role of a board member? Like, what do you think your, not necessarily day-to-day, but regular duties are?
So what I hope to do is to be, if the district has plans or issues, I hope that they will feed off of us and we can approve those and move the school in the right direction, right? But I also know that for many people, and the teachers, if they have a question or comment and they don't want to go right to their bosses, they can come to me. Parents the same way, because it is difficult. We have 15 schools. There's a lot of schools, and every school is different. Every school has a different leadership. So I would like to be, for my area, like, if you have a question, you can't get it answered, or you're afraid to ask it, go ahead and ask me. I won't know it. I might not know your answer, but I'll try to find somebody who will. And if they don't have the answer, well, let's keep moving on. Let's go up the chain, and we might not get the answer you want, but let's figure it out. And so, some of the things that happen right now, like, there's just people who don't seem to understand the actual what students do on the day-to-day, and they're board members, and you're like, no, that's what you're being told, but that's not necessarily the actual ins and out. It might be what's on paper, but it's not what's happening in the class. And if it's what's supposed to be happening, let's make sure that's happening. And so I just feel like that's kind of where I'm going to be as a board member, making sure that what the district wants is doable and can be done by these teachers and these students, because it's great to have a dream, but we have to have a plan that actually works.
Now, our budget is a big budget. We have a lot of moving parts to it. So I'm not asking you to name off certain line items, but are we spending money on the right places? Would you personally, obviously you're part of a board, but are there things you'd advocate spending more money on, or possibly reallocating resources?
So I went to that budget meeting at the last one, not this Thursday, but the previous one, and that was one of the first times as a parent I ever got to see that. I mean, you can go to the meetings, but you didn't actually get to see them. I do have some questions about our budget. I am happy to see that our teachers are going to get their bonus. I'm happy to see that our support staff is going to get a raise. If we want to keep our staff, which we are losing because they can get better pay somewhere else, we gotta up it. I am concerned that, we have $7.2 million coming back from the schools into the general fund. And maybe there's a real reason the schools didn't need $7.2 million. We don't know how that was broken down. We don't know if, most of it came from one or if it's evenly split. But, as a parent, I'm like, I can think of things that you could have spent that money on. And so maybe if we're budgeting a certain way, like this money has to be spent on these things, and we're constantly giving it back, but we're running out of money for, I had a parent tell me in a different district, it's not mine, I have to buy paper. I go, well, maybe that $7.2 million, if we look at it, needs to be like, hey, we don't need it for this, but we need a bigger paper budget, so we need to be fixing that. I would love to see some new textbooks. I know that they are doing EOC at the high school right now, and the bandwidth was not working very well on Wednesday, so kids couldn't get on, so we might need to spend some money on that, because there's nothing more frustrating to a student who has to take a test that's timed, and you can't get on your test. So I think we have some money that we're spending, it's great, but we need to really think that, are we actually buying what we need? Are we paying enough? And just because we've given the money, maybe it needs to be somewhere else at this time.
If you could summarize in 3, bullet points of things that you feel like are the most pressing for the district, or even the school district as a whole, not just your district, what would you say those things are?
So I would like to see our honor students properly taken care of. If we have enough kids to take a class, which according to the paper we saw when it came home, it's 12, we need to offer that class. They need to be competitive. All our students need to have access to what they need. But we need to make sure that our academically gifted children are getting what they need, so that when they go out, they will feel like they can come back here and spread that knowledge here, support here. I would love to see some more I don't know how to describe it, but more fun things in. When my daughter was at Sally Z, they did this wonderful economics class at the end of the year where they were given a salary and they were given a job and they had to look at homes here. And I would love to see more of those programs. I just saw Statesboro High did something like that with their finance. I would love to see that. Those kind of things that are common knowledge that you need to have, we need to be giving at all levels. Statesboro High today, their band brought in people from Sally Z, 5th graders, and I believe they brought in a middle school to meet the band and see that they could be part of the band and what it was. I would love to see that happening in middle school, going down to that. Those kind of programs that are getting kids interested in learning, interested in staying in school, being part of that community so that they get a better feel and they don't feel school is kind of a drag or a punishment. Those are the things that I would really like to see our schools doing. And I would also like to see just our schools, our parent, our district, and our board actually talking to each other again. Not arguing, not going above each other, having conversations, sitting down and having parent meetings where we know who the principal is and he knows who we are, and the board members know who we are. I would love that again because I think there's a huge disconnect in the last 2 years.
So that's actually one of the questions I've been asking board members. You kind of beat me to it, which was, have we overcome the divide that COVID created? And I think your answer is no.
No.
So I'll skip that question, but I'll ask you, since the answer is no, what kinds of things, is that to bring everybody back to the table?
I would like, so I have a friend in the schools who, we're talking about this honors and academic. Well, there's a lot of parents and kids who I don't think they understand what it truly is and how it affects and what is needed for school. And she would like to create a program where we go to the middle schools and we start talking to middle schoolers in 6th and 7th grade, like, hey, it's important to get in this track in this way so you can get into these classes, and this is why. You might not all be honor students, but this is what it is. And parents truly understand what it means to take an honors class, right? An AP class, and why you're doing that, or a dual enrollment class. And then the middle school is going over and having a parent-child night with 4th and 5th graders saying, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I think, when you make a major change, and this is going to be the AP chemistry one because I was part of that issue, if you make a major change like that, you need to have a parent meeting because you don't want kids to find out and then tell their parents, and their parents are in an uproar, and it never gets settled, and it leads to harsh feelings that, can be overcome, but we need to do that. A long time ago, another board member used to come to PTO meetings, and that's when I first moved here, and I thought that was awesome. She explained what the board was doing and she listened to us, and that just was an outreach that I haven't seen in a long time. She also came to events, and I thought, this is great. This person is actually out here getting to know us. And we used to have these PTO meetings where teachers came, admins came, parents came, and with COVID we had to go on Zoom, and there's great reasons for that. We understand it's not a complaint, but we need to bring that back because we want parents involved in our Sally Z has a movie night tonight. We want parents there serving concessions, talking with the teachers, seeing all the students, because school is for learning, but it's also for becoming a community. I don't think we're doing that very well right now.
What about transparency? What's your position on it? Are we doing enough? Could we do more? What kinds of things would you like to see or do you support?
I would like to see more transparency. I think they try very hard, but I think things are done at each school level. So if you go to one school, you're getting a different answer than if you go to another, right? And so then parents talk. This is a pretty small town, and almost all the kids end up in the same high school from their elementary schools, right? So they're all flooding, and when they get there, like, wait, I didn't do it that way. And so I would like for there to be transparency. I would like for some employees in the district who write these rules to actually come to schools and make sure that's how they're working. Because parents are finding that, well, that may be what you have on paper, but we're actually doing this. And again, with these decisions, if you're gonna make a decision that affects a class that children are planning on taking, you can't just say, oh, well, this in December, the last week of school when everybody's out. You need to be setting that up. That's not transparent. That's not okay. Like if you were to get rid of a pathway, I expect you to let that pathway know well in advance, not a day or a day before winter break starts. So I definitely think we could work on it. We definitely need to work on that.
Well, obviously, with education, there's so many things that we could talk about, but is there anything that you want to mention or anything you just want people to know about you before they go to the polls on May 24th?
Well, for education, I want parents to know that education is just not at the school. I know a lot of us think, oh, they're there all day and they're going to learn. You need to work on your kid at home, whether it's giving them a book or whether it's, doing silly math problems like, at the grocery store, how much does this cost? What are we going to pay? Things like that. It doesn't have to be complicated. I teach pre-K, and I'll tell my kids, go find objects in nature and write your name. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hours of homework, but you as a parent, a grandparent, whoever is raising this child needs to be active. You can't just hope that, they're getting it all through the day. You have to ask questions. If the teacher's calling you, you need to answer. And teachers know that, explain it. We do math a different way now. Not all of us know how to do it. And so even I myself, when my kid tells me, hey, how to do this, I told her how to carry and, borrow. And she's like, we don't do it that way. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm my dad who taught me to go get me the slide rule. And I was like, we don't use a slide rule. So be patient. And, if we need to create a place where you can learn that, tell us so we can do that. I hope if you go to the poll and vote for me, you know that, you can come to me, you can ask me questions. I'm going to be out there hopefully advocating for what you need. I'll be honest, sometimes we can't do it. We just can't, but we can listen and we can try and we can put it into the ideas to see what can work out. So I hope you'll go vote for me.
And where can they learn more about you? You're on social media, right?
I am on social media. I have a Facebook page, Mary E. Boyer, BOE candidate District 6. That's pretty it. And if you know somebody who knows me, they will direct you that way. I know a lot of people in my little area, so.
Great. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us and good luck.
Thank you for having me.